Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the latest Quentin Tarantino film. I don't need to introduce Quentin Tarantino at this point. You know the guy. He's had a massive, massive impact on the film industry. He's had so many classics that I regard as being pretty fantastic, and I would even say Reservoir Dogs is a perfect film, along with many other great films across his career too. A lot of people consider him one of the all-time great directors. I think he's deserving of that and being involved in that conversation. I wouldn't deny him of that. But I do think he has a few just decent films in his catalogue. I wouldn't say every film he's put out is a masterpiece like some people would say. I think The Hateful Eight was definitely one of the weakest of his films so far, easily. And this new film of his, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and barely Margot Robbie. But I have to say this is definitely the worst film I've seen from Quentin Tarantino. And you may be thinking, well, his worst could still be at least good. It doesn't have to be on the level of his greats, and I agree with that. But in regards to this film, I can't even call it good. I actually thought this was pretty bad. First of all, I think the plot of the film is just not really thought out properly at all. I think it just feels like one long, stretched out idea that really just doesn't go anywhere. I just don't understand how most of these scenes are supposed to connect with one another. You see Margot Robbie occasionally just kind of wandering around doing her own thing. She's just barely a part of the film. If she had some kind of significance to the overall story by the end of the film, like it's a common thing where Tarantino will have like a few characters and, you know, by the end of the film it all kind of comes back round and pieces together and you sort of finally realize, oh, that's why you're there, or oh, that's what you were doing, that's what, you know, was going on here. But like there just isn't any of that at all, and it just feels like she's just pointless. Even without that, though, because that is just one minor aspect of the entire film that you could probably shake away and ignore if you wanted to. But, without that, the entire film is just one long slog. Like, there isn't really a major purpose to the film. It sort of sets itself up at the beginning with the theme of the film about Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who's an actor, and he's kind of becoming a bit of a washed-up actor. He's slowly, you know, losing his prestige as an actor. He has a conversation with a guy and he's advised to, you know, switch up his role because he's always playing the villain and everything, and he needs to kind of break away from that and go for something bigger. And that's just kind of like there isn't anything throughout the film that indicates that, you know, okay, he's going to try and change things or whatever. He goes to Italy for 6 months and you don't see any of it. You don't feel like you're connecting to him as a character. You don't feel like he's on a journey or anything like that. It's just nothing. It is something that you could explore quite well. I mean, it's been done before in films. I mean, there isn't a film that won an Oscar this decade that explored that very thing, The Artist. It's not, you know, the most unique, but I believe that Tarantino is a talented enough director to make it unique and put his own spin on it, and yet he just never does. There are some good scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio, though, where he's on set learning his lines and he's kind of messing up and fumbling, and you see him kind of like break through and get the line really well. And there's a really good scene with the little girl like throws on the floor. Like it's a good scene, but it's not like it impacts the majority of the film because it's like a 5-minute scene in a 2-hour 45-minute film. I would say Brad Pitt's definitely the best part of the film, though. His character's really good. I find him really, like, you know, he's just one of those typical cool guys. He's kind of, like, laid back. He's quite mysterious, too. There's some stuff about his wife that's kind of, like, a bit of a grey area that they don't really go into detail with, but it just kind of gives you this sort of, like, weird sense whenever he's on screen. Like, what's he going to do? What kind of person is he? There's one little throwback to when he has a fight with Bruce Lee, which again is a kind of humorous scene, but it's not like it's enough to add to the entire narrative of the film, because it really doesn't. And I did find the scene where he's, in the car with the hippie, and she takes him to like their ranch or whatever, and it's all kind of weird because he knows the person that lived there, used to work with him, and he's trying to figure out if he's okay, if he's even alive. Like, that entire segment was really good, and it was the only part of the film that got me kind of like, okay, and now I'm interested. Which just feels really strange to say, because never in my life would I think that Tarantino would bore me. Like, of all directors, Tarantino boring me is just completely unheard of. Like, I did not think I would come out of this film thinking that film was boring. This film, to me, is very much his version of the Coen brothers' Hail Caesar. Like, that was their boring film that they just completely missed the mark with. And here, this is Tarantino's version of that. I mean, you've got great, talented directors that put out amazing films throughout their runtime, and yet they're hitting such a lull point in their career with really, really dull films. It just honestly felt like random scenes kind of being thrown together. There were scenes that went on way too long as well. The dialogue was nowhere near as witty, interesting, funny, even sadistic, you could say, as some of his other films. All of that just felt like it had gone. The pacing of the film was atrocious as well. Like, so many times I just felt like the film needed to fucking end. And then when it finally did end, it was the most unsatisfying ending I could ever think of. So with that whole hippie thing that I mentioned, they kind of come back to haunt Brad Pitt's character, and they're there to kill the pigs, as they call them, and I just felt like it was completely unwarranted. The motivation behind it was just dead. It was honestly a major cop-out ending for Tarantino, because the entire film was not like that kind of tone at all. Like, it wasn't setting up for like a violent, bloody ending that's just so shocking and twisted like most of his films, because this film didn't have that tone throughout at all. This film had a really, really like mellow tone, and the ending didn't need to be that violent and all over the place. It totally makes sense in a film like Pulp Fiction, because the film is violent and bloody throughout. It totally makes sense for a film like Reservoir Dogs. But for this film, the way it ended with all of that ridiculous, like, animated, over-the-top, like, violence that just was so unnecessary, I just don't know why it needed it. It would be like ending Toy Story with Buzz Lightyear dying. Like, you didn't set that up throughout the film, because it's just not part of the story. It's not part of the world that you've created throughout the film. So to end it on such like a weird high point like this just doesn't mesh at all with what you were going for. So yeah, this was the least entertaining Tarantino film to date. And I'm not trying to say that he has to make all of his films violent, bloody, because I don't need that in every film. But I just don't need it in a film where it wasn't required. It wasn't required to end the film this way. So I don't know why he did end it this way. Major disappointment, I think, this one. I can't really bring up many positives, because I just really couldn't enjoy the majority of the film. I think the child actor, she was very, very good in this film. The performances throughout actually were very good. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio was always great. He was great in this. Like I said, Brad Pitt was definitely my favourite part of the film. I can't comment on Margot Robbie, because she just was a nothing character. And the other performances were pretty good too. I just really struggle to explain what even the point of this film was. Like, I gained nothing from it. I found none of the characters worth connecting to. There was barely a theme. There was barely even a plot. This is 4 out of 10. This was bad. Let me know what you think of the film, though. I think there'll be a lot of people that will call this one of the best of the year, and that's fine. If I've missed anything, if I've completely missed the point of the film, then please let me know. But to me, I just couldn't really latch on to anything with this one. So, yeah, let me know. Thank you for watching my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Have a good day, and goodbye.